The Earth is a water planet, but global water resources are under attack. From dead zones to overfishing, rising seas to plastic pollution, our water planet is changing in ways that threaten us all. The good news is solutions exist, and EarthEcho is on a mission to find them. I'm Philippe Cousteau. Our fisheries are on the verge of collapse around the world. Join me as we explore solutions to restoring them to sustainability. On EarthEcho Expeditions, What's the Catch? As cities around the world continue to grow, it's becoming increasingly vital that we find a sustainable balance between human development and wild coastal ecosystems. In the city of Plymouth, artificial structures like seawalls accommodate a growing urban landscape that's known for its large fishing industry. Eco-engineer Dr. Louise Firth has been helping to design ways to allow the natural environment to adapt to these built spaces.
You can work with seawalls. They're completely artificial, they're completely vertical, terrible habitat for fish. But you can do all sorts of small-scale engineering techniques to encourage seaweed, to encourage limpets, to encourage top shells and food for fish. You create food, then you're going to get the predators and the grazers coming in.
So how do you do that? What's some of the work that you're doing?
So these are called bioblocks. These would normally be replacing boulders that would typically be in, say, like a breakwater for coastal defence purposes or a groin. They're smooth, they don't have nooks and crannies. Marine life living in this environment, they require water retention. They need to be wet, effectively.
Like little pools of water being perhaps stuck away in natural coastline for them to survive while the tide goes out,
Yes.
for places for them to hide, things like that. From adding environmentally friendly textures on existing surfaces to planning the way we build coastal cities differently, opportunities abound for these kinds of necessary adaptations. You know what I love about this is this idea that it's not a binary choice necessarily. It's not like we either create a human structure and destroy the environment or we leave it natural, that we can engineer the areas that we're inhabiting and building more effectively to be conducive to thriving nature.
Yes, exactly. We currently are at 7.7 billion people. By the end of the century, we're expecting that to be 11.5. That's a lot more people living in the environment. You are going to get a lot more urbanisation happening whether we like it or not. So we are going to have to get a lot more clever about how we design our new urban environments.
In order to provide seafood to a rapidly growing population in a sustainable way, alternatives like aquaculture may be critical to supplementing wild-caught fish. About an hour away from Plymouth, Trafalgar Fisheries raises local trout through aquaculture.
Around about half of the seafood being consumed by humans are coming from aquaculture farm sources.
Aquaculture has a wide range of benefits. For one, farmers can produce high volumes of product in relatively small areas, such as these fish ponds. Challenges in large-scale industrial fish farms do exist. Disease, contaminants from runoff, and the resources needed to feed the fish are real obstacles. That's why it's important for farms like this one to have the lowest possible impact on surrounding ecosystems.
The food that we feed the fish is much less wasteful, it's much better formulated, and it grows faster fish, and it is much more efficient and also much more sustainable.
Now, the general public also shares a responsibility in the effectiveness of these farms by making sustainable choices when buying or eating different types of fish.
People have got to want to eat a rainbow trout as opposed to a cod or a mackerel. I suspect that that's going to be forced on them anyway, because I think that through serious mismanagement of our fishing stocks, that the number of fish caught will go down and down and down, and the only sort of fish you will be able to eat will be a rainbow trout or salmon or sea bass or farmed cod.
Now, for it to be effective long-term, sustainable seafood needs to cater to local fish species. For example, the fish farmed here also go to restock rivers where local trout populations have diminished.
It is no good pretending that you can roll out rainbow trout or sea bass grown off the seas of Greece and the Mediterranean throughout the rest of the world, because the fish are too expensive for most people to afford to buy. So I think that if aquaculture is to have its place in feeding the world, which I firmly believe it should have, then it needs to be the fish that people are used to eating in the countries that they live.
And by combining better practices with sustainable consumer choices, aquaculture can have a positive impact on our global food supply.
In an ideal world, aquaculture will continue to grow and increase because we really need that. We have a food deficit. We've got 2 billion more people to feed, at least by 2050, and we need a lot more food. And we can't get that just by relying on food production from terrestrial production systems and from fishing. So aquaculture is going to be a big part of that solution.
Our planet relies on fish as a food source more and more each day. How we identify important habitats, manage fish stocks, and engineer alternate methods for supplying seafood will impact life as we know it. Without healthy fisheries, our oceans will collapse. It's up to us to find ways to balance a global demand with sustainable, healthy fisheries. To learn more about ways to keep our fisheries sustainable and find out how you can take action to make a positive difference in your community, visit EarthEcho International at earthecho.org. EarthEcho Expedition is sponsored by the Northrop Grumman Foundation. Northrop Grumman is a leading global security company dedicated to increasing STEM education opportunities for students and the teachers who inspire them.